You're tuned in to Getting to the Root of It, focusing on healing and letting go of the wounds of addiction and other unresolved traumas of the past. Your breakthrough begins with you. Are you ready to change your life? Stay tuned as your host, expert therapist, personal development coach, and spiritual cheerleader, Natashah Khan inspires you to live the life you were destined to live.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Getting to the Root of It. This is episode 19, I believe, of Getting to the Root of It. And today I have a very special guest with me. I have to give a shout out to Miss Angela Lewis, because it's because of Miss Angela Lewis that my next guest and I got the chance to connect, and I got to learn some really great things about her. Her name is Daveia Strachan, and I'm going to have her introduce herself shortly, tell you a little bit about who she is. But for all of my listeners out there, this is a really good episode for many of you. We often talk about mindset. We often talk about that we have the power to control how we think. So as we know that it does dictate how we live our lives. So Daveia is going to spend some time with us today to tell us a little bit about her first book and what she has written and how this can really help you guys that are listening. So make sure you sit back and, get ready to get some really good information with regards to this book. I'm going to leave it to Daveia to fill you guys in on what it's all about. And there will be ways, of course, to connect with her at the end of the show. So, all right, Miss Daveia, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm well. It's so good to have you on here. Like I said, I have to give a shout out to Miss Angela Lewis. Because of her, we had the pleasure of connecting and me getting a chance to have a great conversation with you just a few weeks back. And in talking with you and hearing a lot about this book that you just recently wrote, I was truly fascinated by what you wrote about, as it really speaks to my spirit, and it speaks a lot to what I do as a personal development coach. So why don't you take a minute and share with us just a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then let us know a little bit more about the vision behind this book.
Thank you so much, Natasha. So, like you shared, my name is Daveia. I'm originally from the Bahamas. I moved to the United States when I was 21. I've been living here for about 10 years. I currently reside in Atlanta, and what I do currently is I'm a customer success manager for a software company, and all that is that I'm a relationship manager. So I build relationships with customers that spend a lot of money with my company, and just ensure that they're having a great experience. So I love people. I love helping people. I love networking with people. So that role is really a passion for me. But other than that, I also enjoy writing, right? Writing gives me an outlet to express myself freely, creatively. And so I decided to write Evolving, Finding the Light Within to manifest that passion of mine as well. And so Evolving, Finding the Light Within is a book of quotes with different themes, and each theme represents my healing journey, but I'm sure a lot of other people's healing journey too. And these are just really designed to help you to reflect and to start the inner work if you haven't done so already. And so some of the chapters in this book are called Let Go. Delayed does not mean denied. I've had many obstacles to the woman that you see today. And so I had to really embrace the mindset of not giving up, right? And embracing those challenges to success. And then other themes are the essence of self-love, heal the hurt, food for the soul, right? Because your soul will be weary on this healing journey. And a lot of times we put emphasis on like our mental health, like going to therapy for that, or going to the gym for our physical health. But sometimes our spirit man is weak, and some people may or may not prescribe to the Bible or a religion. And so there's chapter in the book helps to give the reader some food for their soul as they're going along the journey. And And then at the end of the book, I end it with a little something extra to keep you continuing to do the journey, because as we all know, healing is an ongoing process. As long as we're alive, we're going to be hurt or broken or, experience things in life. So we have to continue along the journey. So I have quotes out there just to help my readers as they continue along their journey.
All right. Well, and you guys will definitely be able to hear some of those quotes. We're going to give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek in just a minute. So first of all, let me correct myself here. It's Daveia, because I kept Daveia. So I apologize for the fact that I did not pronounce your name accurately. So Daveia, and we have something in common because you're also from the islands as well. I did not know. I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, so it's
okay.
Nice to meet a fellow islander, I guess.
I know.
Any particular experience or time in your life that may have been sort of the precipitating factor behind you saying, you know what, this is what I want to write about? Or has this just been sort of a collection over time you've been wanting to do, and this is just the opportune time to do it?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's a culmination of like this desire that I've had, and then also like there's an experience that like kind of set as the like catalyst for it. So yeah, I'm like a listener in my social circles, right? Or like people come to me for advice. I'm like that person out of the friend groups, and so I am then privy to like all of these experiences that they've had in their life before. And when I'm giving them advice, I like get these ahas, like these like nuggets of wisdom, as you say, and I share it with them, and they're like, oh damn, Daveia, that's deep. And I'm like, yeah, I guess I didn't really intend for it to be deep, but I'm glad that it resonates, right? So it's going to stick. You're going to be thinking about it. And so after just like so many experiences, so many friends coming to me, I started to write it down, right? Because I'm like, if I'm helping these people in my circle, I'm sure wider circles are going to benefit, need this, going through the same thing, right? The human experience is not too unique in that aspect. And then I also like, I think too, like I was like in a relationship too that was very challenging to let go, right? That was the first step in the journey, was letting go. And I think just like all the lessons that I learned from that, at some point I was just stuck in a cycle or a pattern with this person, and I just had a hard time letting go. And I realized like all of these like lessons or these ahas, like from not letting go. And so I just made notes of them, right? I just kept like documenting them, because like the most painful lessons are the ones that we have to learn like more than once. And so I just kept writing them down, and then finally was able to break free. And then like that just started me, once you're letting go of something that's not healthy, that you're starting, a journey. And so then I started on the other themes in the book, and that's kind of like the experience that like helped me to like, I guess like, hey, let me do this right away. But in addition to me being a listener in my friend circle, where I was like, oh, these are nuggets from other people's experience that can help the wider, audience.
So true. And for my listeners, keep in mind, Daveia is not a therapist. And so I showed you don't have to be a therapist, because I've had the pleasure and the blessing of hearing some of the quotes out of this book, and I will be getting my copy as well. And many of the quotes you share are quotes also that I have used working privately with my clients, and I think to have this book and to have that, it almost becomes like a daily devotional, right? Every day they can read a quote, something that can inspire them and take them through their day. And I love the fact that it's not tied to any particular religious denomination, right?
I just wanted to add on that point that not only do they can like sit and reflect in their devotional, but it's also interactive. There's questions at the end of each chapter to help you as the reader, like find a way, is this relating to my life? And then you write about it. So it does give you that opportunity to engage as well. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. Not at all. This is your show, and I think that that's great. So not only do they get to read it, but they get to explore, and they get to sort of, the word I'm looking for, sort of meditate on it, right? To kind of reflect on how does this apply in my life? And I think that's great. because sometimes people can read things and they'll be like, oftentimes there's one infamous phrase, let go and let God, right? People
Yeah.
say let go and let God all the time, but oftentimes they don't really take the time to really reflect to know what does that really mean?
What's that really mean? Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So,
it's so I don't want my book to be a bunch of provocative quotes that get the people going, and it doesn't really leave an impact on their life. Like they're not actually taking steps. It's just like, dang, that's deep. Like, okay, yeah, that's deep, but like, how is that gonna like help you? Like, how is this? What am I gonna do with this information? How can I use this for my life? If not even my life, maybe I have a brother, sister, friend that this may help them, through that season. Because we all want to like comfort, be there for our loved ones. And sometimes we don't have the tools. This can serve as that tool. Yeah.
well, it's so true. And it's, one of the things that I speak a lot on is application, right? So you can see something, you can read something, you can learn something, but then the next step to really seeing the benefits of it or the success of it is we have to learn on how to apply that in our lives. So I think that
Right.
that activity at the end of those questions to answer at the end would really sink in. As you know, the show's called Getting to the Root of It. So if we can read these quotes and really get to the root of it and understand how this works for us as individuals, I mean, I can see profoundly how it's going to be, really helpful in the lives of others. So I know I have tons of listeners out there that are listening today that would be very, very interested in the book. Anything else that you want to share? Anything else about, you seem very passionate about mental health. You seem very passionate about, working on that mindset. We know mindset is everything, right? And we have the power
Yeah.
to change our mindset. Is there anything you want to add or share with our listeners?
No, not that I could think of. I just think that my passion lies in this because I know that our mind is our like greatest weapon or also our greatest weakness. And so I think I'm just really passionate about like helping people to, really like not let their mind control them, like they control their mind. And so uh, I guess that's the only other tidbit is like, I guess why I care about like getting the word out, like maybe one could say, yeah, you can have this as a reference for your future experiences or maybe your children or grandchildren, but why I want to get it out to like worldwide is because I feel like just like humanity, civilization, we need to have that understanding that like we are in control of our minds don't control us. And so this kind of helps with that process of understanding,
Well, you talked a little bit about unhealthy relationships or toxic relationships,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I think whether you're married or it's just a boyfriend girlfriend situation, just relationships in general, we all encounter some sort of an unhealthy relationship, and most oftentimes, many of us battle in our minds,
Right,
or hold ourselves responsible or think it's our
right.
fault or it's something that we did, or
Yeah,
it leaves that negative impact on us, right?
right. Yeah.
Is there any quotes, and I know I'm putting you on the spot right now, but is there any
Oh,
quotes out of your book that maybe comes to mind that can speak to someone who has been in any type of unhealthy relationship, whether that's with a parent to a child, or into a couple's relationship, or just any relationship you can think of? Do you have a quote that you could pull from your book that we could get a
I
sneak?
think it's one that I may have shared with you. It's not your fault that it happened to you, but it's your responsibility to heal, right? So whether you experienced some childhood trauma, whether you were in an abusive relationship, whatever, right? Whatever kind of unhealthy, toxic relationship you were subject to, it may not be your fault, right, that it happened to you, but it is your responsibility to heal. And so that would be like my words to your listeners, that do the work to heal, right? Because the trauma is just going to manifest in different ways, and you can't escape you're going to live with you until the day that you die. And so you have to do that work to heal, right, so that you are positive, that you are light, and that you are maximizing your fullest potential. Because if you're stuck in that hurt victim mentality. Like, let's be honest, anybody with that mentality is not going to be thriving, not going to be making the most out of their life. They're just like, hey, let's have a pity party, let's feel sorry for me. And we do agree that what happened to you is bad, but we also do understand much more that if you don't do the work, no one else will. So I guess that's what I would share.
So I saw a meme the other day that talked about that while we are not responsible for our trauma, we are responsible for healing from our trauma, right? Which is in line with what you just said just now. Why do we have to be responsible? Why do we need to be responsible for this hurt and pain that others may inflict on us? Why can't I just say, you know what, Daveia, somebody hurt me and I'm sick and tired of being hurt, and I'm just sick and tired of being hurt, and just leave it there?
Stay tuned. We'll be right back after the break.
Good afternoon, good morning, good night, depending on what part of the world you are in. My name is Daveia, recently published author of Evolving, Finding the Light Within. And I want to jump on here just to share why I think this book will be a great investment for you. This book is my healing journey, but I'm sure it's yours too. And I have different themes along my healing journey that I'm sure will resonate with you. Whether it's letting go, whether it's not giving up on your dreams, whether it's healing the hurt and the trauma that you've been through, whether it's learning to self-love, right? I want you to pick up your copy and really engage in and be intentional in your healing. The book is a book of quotes, so each one of these quotes are going to be little nuggets that you could take during your day to sit with, reflect on, and like I shared at the end of each chapter, there's reflective questions to help you to do the work. I'm here rooting for you. Hope you pick up your copy of Evolving, Finding the Light Within soon.
So I saw a meme the other day that talked about that while we are not responsible for our trauma, we are responsible for healing from our trauma, right? Which is in line with what you just said just now. Why do we have to be responsible? Why do we need to be responsible for this hurt and pain that others may inflict on us? Why can't I just say, you know what, Daveia, somebody hurt me and I'm sick and tired of being hurt, and I'm just sick and tired of being hurt, and just leave it there?
Yeah, that's just not productive. You're gonna eventually face that demon in a different way. And I used to say this saying like way back when, like, unforgiveness is you drinking poison and expecting the other person to die, and so you just holding on to that. That's just like, there's like research out there that when you hold on to these like negative emotions and energies for a long time, like that really impacts your genes, your genetic expression, and so that's a whole scientific debate that I can't go down. But I'm just saying, like, at a biological level, you're making yourself sick, right? Because you're not forgiving someone, you're not dealing with the hurt. And then I mean, it's in your best interest. That's why you have to do it. It's not because you're letting the person off the hook. What they did is still not okay. We acknowledge that what they did is not okay, but like, in order for you to have a fulfilling life, you have to do the work and heal from the pain, whether that's, and healing looks different for everybody. Healing may just be going to the beach and talking to God and, doing that, or you may have to go through therapy, or, there's no uniform healing journey, but you do have to do it in some form or way. Yeah. Or fashion. Yeah.
It's like a twin mind here, because everything that you're saying are the same things that I say when I'm working, my clients know this, these are the same things that I share with them. And you talk about forgiveness, and what a very powerful conversation to have, and a very hot topic, right? So oftentimes people are of the belief system that, if I have to forgive, that means I'm giving permission or saying that it's okay for how someone may have hurt me. And it's so interesting. I love the fact to hear you say that that's completely opposite of what forgiveness is for, and I love the analogy.
It's actually for you. Yeah.
100%, because if you're not forgiving, all of that hurt and pain, I love when you said it turns into poison into our system. And when we internalize that, and I talk to my clients a lot about harboring those unwanted emotions, you know, I don't believe in, from my perspective, I don't believe in like good or bad feelings. We have feelings,
Yeah.
but there are
Yeah.
some feelings we want and some feelings we don't want, right? So I
Right.
refer to those feelings as unwanted feelings. If we stuff those down, that just seeps this poison you speak of into our system, and we start to have other issues. We may not have severe mental health issues, we may not have a substance abuse issue, but there's so many other medical issues, whether it's, you know, that emotional stress straining the heart, right? Or we have stomach issues, and, you know, we have trouble.
All of this is research proved. There are books out there that say this happens. Like they've conducted multiple tests, like, and nobody's worth your health. Like at the end of the day, nobody else is worth your health, right? Like that's your greatest asset.
Absolutely. And wouldn't you agree that I think that if we are holding on to that pain of whatever has happened to us, that we are allowing the individual to still control us?
Have more power, right? You're giving your power away, sweetheart. Don't give your power away.
All right. I love it. I love it. I know you have a bunch of quotes, and we definitely do not want to give away all of the secrets. Is there another quote that you'd like to share with us? And maybe we can talk a little bit about that one.
Yeah, I will share like maybe 2 or 3, and then we can go from there.
I know there's so many. It's like
there's so many, and like it's hard to have like my favorites because I know like they're all just powerful in their own way. But anyways, I guess from the Let Go chapter, I will share, let go of what no longer serves you because it is hindering what is. Just because it feels familiar doesn't mean it's good for you. And just because it feels uncomfortable doesn't mean it's bad for you.
And what's the question? Are you willing to share a little bit of what that question is that follows that one quote?
Yeah, so I actually have just a few questions at the end of each chapter. And one of the questions is, what are you holding on that no longer serves you?
So interesting to hear that quote from you, because I had a client probably about a couple years ago who had shared with me. She says, I'm learning that anything that doesn't serve me, I need to let it go. You know,
right?
It's so great to see you have that in your book, because it's so true. You know, we talk so much, we got to let go, we have to let go. What do you think, from your own maybe personal experience or with your experiences with your friends, what do you think makes it so difficult sometimes for individuals to let go of their pain?
Familiar. Just change. Like even though change is sometimes good for us, we still don't embrace change. We embrace what's familiar to us. I think that would be the key, or just like the unknown too. I think the unknown, but that's also similar to like lack of change, right? It's just like so much harder to let go of a let's say you're married and you may have an abusive husband, but you're like, oh, will I ever find a husband again? Or, you know, there's just so many other instances you could think of that, oh, this job, I hate this job, but like I have kids to feed, or I need money, you know, even though you can find maybe another job that will be a little bit more fulfilling. Just the whole like putting yourself out there.
Sure.
Perhaps getting accepted, perhaps getting rejected. Like some people are not brave enough to go through those steps. Like they don't want to be rejected, perhaps. However, rejection is a part of success, or failure is a part of success. Some people are just not emotionally equipped to handle it, or don't know how to cope with it. And so they don't want to let go. Those are the 2 examples that I think of. I think just the lack of unknown, the unknown and uncertainty, and then just people cling to what's familiar.
Sure. And I think, you know, that speaks a lot to the power of our emotions, right? So with you saying that, I'm hearing a lot of, most oftentimes people are fear of change, fear of the unknown, right? It's easier to be complacent and get comfortable, even if we don't like our circumstances, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, if we're that powerful in our emotional selves, and how the emotion drives the way we behave, I guess the question stands to be, then if the fear can drive us into doing absolutely nothing, imagine what faith
It
right?
do.
Imagine what
Yeah.
faith can do for us.
Yeah.
And be able to get us
Exactly.
through those circumstances so that we can actually see that there's life beyond whatever we've been through. You know, in this last year, between the anthology that I did with Angela Lewis, and I just recently did another anthology. My first one is Fierce, Fabulous, and Free.
Okay.
And this recent one was called Believe. And it all speaks of just amazing, amazing human beings and authors that were willing to share how they too, you know, they are CEOs and business owners and entrepreneurs and philanthropists and all these wonderful things, but they too were once hurt, you know, and it's just been beautiful. And now to have you added to all of this, to just be able to show individuals, it doesn't matter where we come from. It doesn't matter what we've been through. You know, yes, these unfortunate circumstances and things that have happened in our lives, yes, they are hurtful. Yes, it does affect oftentimes how we see ourselves. It changes our worldview, but we don't have to stay there, right? We don't have to sit in any of that. The same way that those unfortunate circumstances changed us, it's the same way other circumstances can change us again, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
get
Right.
back on that path of being powerful in our minds. So I'm really, really grateful for you being on the show today and being able to talk a little bit about this book. I am very excited because, like I said, a lot of the quotes that you've shared are quotes that I'm very familiar with.
Yeah.
And I do think it's something that, you know, anyone can benefit from, right? It doesn't,
Yeah.
they don't necessarily have to be struggling with addiction or struggling with any major mental health issues. I think we all struggle with
something, like, as long as we're alive, we're gonna have challenges, we're gonna have obstacles. Like, you having challenges or obstacles, that means you're A, doing something, B, you're alive. If you feel like your life is like too easy, you're not having any challenges or any obstacles, I would be concerned.
Well, you know, I agree with you, and I
mean, we don't want too many, but we need to have some, you know, because that would not be like realistic, right? Like, life would not be realistic if everything always went our way, right? If we never had challenges, like, that's just like we're living in the movies, you know? Not real.
And I don't think that we're being stretched, right? Because I do believe that those challenges and unforeseen circumstances that we experience, they stretch us. And I always say that in that moment of being stretched, we're given a space to learn from those experiences so that we can grow and that we can evolve and that we can mature mentally, emotionally, and even spiritually, as you had mentioned earlier. So I agree with you. You know, I work with a lot of families, and oftentimes when you start talking about, you know, hurts and hangups or, you know, a troubled past, you do have the individuals say, I've had a perfect life. And I said, I highly doubt that. I said, give me 10 minutes with you, and somehow I feel like I can maybe help you identify.
I do have a quote that like helps to drive that like point home. And this one is from Delay Does Not mean Deny, Don't Give Up. When you stop asking why me and start asking why not me, it is then you realize that nothing is happening to you. Rather, everything is happening for you. Perspective is a hell of a thing.
Amen. It's so true. It's so true, man. We could spend all day here just like pulling apart your quotes. Again, it's another one. We get so upset because we want what we want when we want it, right?
Yeah.
And then we don't get it, and then we're like, oh,
yeah.
Why didn't I get that? But sometimes there's not sometimes, but I believe all the time that delay is purposeful, right? Sometimes we're not equipped. Sometimes we're not ready. Sometimes it's just not the right time. Or sometimes
it may be redirection, you know. Sometimes I look at rejection now as redirection. Actually, one of the key skills I think like that can help anyone get through life is to reframe. Once you can like master reframing experiences, like life will just kind of be like, you would laugh at stuff, you know, you laugh at stuff more than you cry. You know, so if you just look at, oh, I got the like maybe my 1,000th rejection, maybe that is a redirection into something that is definitely meant for me. And yeah, if you could just like adopt that mindset, even though you may think you really want that, like greater, higher being knows that that will not be the best thing for you. And so it's redirecting you down a different path. If you always realize that the universe is always working in your favor, then you will understand like when these rejections happen, that it's not like, oh, woe to you, but like more like, hey, helping me out, right? That's like some terrible boss I need to deal with, some like, you know, sideways coworkers, you know, you just change your mindset once you are able to reframe events that happen.
You're 100%, you know, maybe you were meant to be a therapist, and maybe you were a therapist in a past life, or maybe you were meant to be a therapist.
I think that's what it was. Yeah.
Because
I've been told that I'm an old soul for sure.
you definitely are, because I mean, it's the same thing we learn in therapy, that reframing and being able to view things from a very different perspective. That's why it's important to talk to people about things and bounce things off of others, because if we're just dealing with it on our own, we're only looking at it from our vantage point. We're only looking at it from our perspective, right? But to get a different perspective, and you're right, oftentimes I do have clients that will laugh and go, huh, you make it sound so simple. And I'm like, well, I think we as, you know, human beings, sometimes we complicate things in our minds, right?
Yeah. It just takes like pausing, right? Like when something like, I don't know, I guess one time before, I guess what happened was like, I got like, was it a flat tire or something happened with my car? And I was like super bummed. Like, I'm like, why did this happen? Like completely stressed out. Another time, a similar event, not a flat tire, but an issue with the car happened. And I was like, perhaps I shouldn't have if I was able to drive, like something would have happened. I just like work up this story in my mind that is like, this happened in my benefit. Like, because I believe honestly that God is always with me. And so because I believe that as like my premise, like anything that happens to me that like is sideways, I can't see it with my own human eyes, but there's like a greater eyes out there that's protecting me. And so just as simple as that, just like pausing in a situation. I think that the hard part is like, we're an autopilot. I think like, I don't know, society, life has trained us with all these advances to be like just going fast. We don't like take time. And so if we take like just a pause, like what is happening right now, analyze, look at it from my perspective. Okay, how else does it be? Like, look at it from a different perspective. I try to do at least my perspective and more perspective. And then I reach out to my friends for like, and that helps me to like really like understand an event that happens in my life before like I paint a perception of that event that happened in my life.
100%. I mean, I think the same way that we could view something from a negative perspective is if we press pause and say, well, what would the potential positive perspective be? Right. You know, and you're right. We don't press pause long enough. And I think for a really long time, we have all been guilty of being on autopilot and something bad happens. And I love you said something earlier, that thing doesn't happen to us, it happens for us. And I often find myself saying things don't happen to us, it happens through us, right? So it's like when we believe something's happened to us, it's almost like a catcher's mitt. And we catch whatever it is, but then we hold on to it. Whereas we have to see it from, yes, it happened to us, but we don't have to hold on. We can actually let go of whatever it is. You know, I always say, you know, good people are not immune to bad things happening to them, right? And we're all good people.
I wish that was so. I guess life would be boring now, honestly.
You know, I think it would be. And I say to people all the time, you know, I wouldn't be the woman that I am today, and I wouldn't be able to do the things that I do today and be able to speak on a lot of the things that I speak of today had it not been for those experiences.
Exactly. That's the thing. That's the crazy part of life. It's like, you want to like shield yourself from these experiences, but these experiences are going to actually make people want to talk to you, listen to you. You're going to actually have like substance, you know. Have you talked to people? They just like seem like an empty vessel. Like you're just like, do you have anything to talk about? Like for real, like that's like not the news, not the Kardashians. Like, do you have like anything real, like something real?
And that's a good point, because I think a lot of people see their unfortunate circumstances or these, you know, quote unquote bad things that have happened such a taboo that they don't even want to talk about it. And in reality, if you talked about it, it's so much more relatable. And that's one of the reasons why I created this podcast. And when I said to you earlier that it's very raw and uncut, I want people to be able to come on here and speak their truth. I want people to come on here and have a voice. You know what I mean? If we keep ourselves quiet and we're secretive and we just like, oh, let's not talk about this, and oh, let's not talk about that. That's your life experience. And you'd be surprised that the minute you start opening your mouth and you start sharing about that real life experience that you had, good, bad, or indifferent, there's always going to be at least one person that's listening to this. Oh my God, he or she gets me. They understand it. Oh my God, there's somebody else out there that's like me. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I do really appreciate.
I feel like that's just like, again, like the funny part of life, the thing that your greatest thing, the thing that you're most ashamed of, or you're most embarrassed, or your greatest weakness, that's the thing that is going to have the most power. That's going to have the most impact. You know, I guess an oxymoron, but that's really like how it is. The thing, the fluff, nothing can happen from the fluff. What can we do with the fluff?
Just sit there and look pretty and it'd be cushy and comfy, I guess, right?
No.
But it's so interesting you say that, because I remember growing up and people in my family would say, oh, you talk too much. All you ever do is talk.
Yeah.
And ironically, now I have a podcast.
Exactly. There you go.
And so I found a way to be able to channel that, right? I think that we all just have, you know, what makes us such beautiful human beings is all, not just the good stuff, but even the bad things that have happened in our lives.
Right.
And I just want people to get more comfortable in understanding you're not alone. For any of my listeners out there today, this entire series I've done since I started this podcast has all been about mindset. Every guest that's been on here, for every book that's been written, it's all been focused around mindset. So there's got to be something that's true about this, since there's literally every guest has come on and talked about that positive perspective and the power of the mind. And the minute that we start changing our perspective is really when our lives begin to change and we begin to really take flight. You know, and all I want for anyone is for us to have the opportunity to live the life that we're called to live, and that we're not defined by our circumstances, right? We're not defined by those, you know, ugly situations of our past, right? They happened to us, or I'm sorry, not to us, it happened for us so that we can learn from it, so that we can grow. We needed to learn that so we know that the next relationship that comes along, we know to do things differently.
Exactly. And sometimes it's not even about you. That's how like God created the world, like for us to help one another, right? Sometimes another person wouldn't been able to handle that experience. So God wouldn't be a just God to put it on that person, but he knew that you would be able to. And so you were able to go through that experience, whether it's positive or negative, and be able to impact and say, how this is like one negative or, you know, unideal situation that happened to me. And look how I overcame. For you to be able to tell that story to inspire another person who may be going through the same thing, or who may know somebody who's going through that thing, you know?
Well, let me tell you, that is a powerful statement you make, because I'm sure a lot of people spinning their heads like, well, I don't really want some of the things that God puts in my lap, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people,
I mean, who does? Yeah.
You're
Who
right.
does? Yeah.
We don't want it, but we're definitely chosen. I always believe that, you know, God in this universe doesn't give us anything that we can't handle, right?
That's right.
So everything that's given to us, and maybe that might be a quote that's added in your book as well. But I want to thank you so much for just being able to come on here and to be able to share this. You know, it is just very refreshing to be able to talk to someone that can understand and identify with a lot of the stuff that I speak to my listeners about. So hopefully for those of you that are listening out there, understand that it's not just me that is saying this. Now there's a book out there to actually support it. So I'm so excited for you. Daveia, if you can just share with the audience, if anyone wanted to talk with you more or wanted to learn more on how they can purchase your book, what's the best way they can get a hold of you, or how can they get a copy of your book?
Well, I am on LinkedIn as Daveia Strachan. That's Strachan. I'm on Instagram and Facebook as Daveia Melissa. I'm going to spell my first name in this one, Daveia, just in case Melissa is the normal spelling of Melissa. So you can find me on the socials. Also, email me. I'm happy to talk to you by email, davia.melissa@gmail.com. And you can find my book on Amazon at, it's called Evolving, Finding the Light Within. There is a girl with a butterfly on the cover. So that is my book. And that's how you can find me and stay in touch.
Beautiful. Do you have a copy of your book with you that you can hold up for me?
Yes, I can surely do that.
Beautiful. Evolving. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right.
Yes.
Well, you guys have heard it here first. Thank you so much, Daveia, for being on our show today. Thank you to our listeners. Just some breaking news to my listeners, just so that you guys know, this will be one of my last episodes for this season. You guys will have me back on here starting in January with some new guests. I'm sure there'll be more people that have written new books and or audios. That's another question for you, Daveia. Are you planning, or is this also available on audio?
I'm planning to create an audio version of this book. I've just been on the fence, to be honest, because the audio, I don't know if my readers are going to get as much value from the questions. So with the audiobook, you're just going to press play, right? And it's going to go through chapter to chapter. The whole idea is that at the end of each chapter that you pause and you reflect and you write, because I think there is power in writing things down. And so, yeah, I am planning an audio project, but I've just been tossing the idea back and forth lately, just because I'm just afraid that people will just run through the content. And while I know it's amazing content and it's powerful, I want the readers to be able to actually like internalize it, honestly. Just how does this relate to my life, and then use it as a guide to go back, right? Like, this may be a season where you are not struggling with letting go, but you are like struggling with self-love. Then I want you to reference that book and those questions in that period of your life. So
absolutely. Yeah. Okay. All right, guys. Well, you heard it here. Again, thank you, Daveia, for being here today. Thank you to my listeners. You guys are always wonderful. Thank you for tuning in, and God bless. Hi, my name is Natashah Khan. I am a personal development coach. I am a published author, motivational speaker, and I'm here with an opportunity for you today. Do you ever sometimes feel sort of stuck, not really sure where you're heading in life, or looking back on your life and thinking, I didn't quite always accomplish the things that I wanted? Do you struggle with fear and or anxiety, or you worry all the time? Or maybe you find yourself constantly giving to everyone else, but never really taking time to give to yourself. Or maybe you identify as a codependent and you realize that it's time for you to stop giving so much of yourself to everyone else and to stop and take time to give back to you. Well, you've come to the right place. On Monday evenings from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time, I host a group that is a private group, so it's invitation only, to members who come together to begin to support each other, lift each other up, inspire each other, and learn the tools necessary on how to find their freedom, how to empower their voices, speak their truth, and discover their authentic selves. So if this sounds like something that you are interested in, you are welcome to reach out to me via email at empoweredvoices45@gmail.com. Again, that is empoweredvoices45@gmail.com. If you are looking to change your life, you are looking to transform and live the life that you've been destined to live, please don't hesitate to reach out today.